My name is Sergio Salcido. This is a alternate or changed version for my final version of Rock, Paper, and Scissors, written in C, created in Visual Studio. Let's go ahead and break down the code. So once more, the first couple lines here, 1 through 5, I have the libraries and include the libraries for the functions I'll be using throughout this program, so that way my functions work properly. The next lines we have here, 7 through 14, are the declarations for the functions in the modularized code. That way my code is broken up and easier to read and debug. Then the next lines we have here, 16 through 18, are defining rock, paper, and scissors and making them equal the integers of 1, 2, and 3. That way I can use the word rock, paper, and scissors in my code, and the compiler will know that it represents those integers. And that'll be important for the user's choice and also the computer's choice. Next here, starting at line 23, I have my main function. Within the main function, we have line 25 as the random seed generator. Then line 28 is creating a string with a memory space of choice. And this is important for making sure that I am able to ask the user if they want to play again or exit the game using Y or N for yes and no. And then the next line of code here, we have a do statement, and what this does is this goes ahead and displays the main menu function for the modularized code that we have down later. And then it'll ask the user to enter their choice, and then it'll go ahead and scan their choice into the code to be ran through the functions down below. And so with that here, the next statement is an if statement, and this is if the user chooses Y for yes, then it'll go ahead and run the code for play game. And then if the user chooses N for no, it'll go ahead and exit the game. And then else here we have our error handling. So if the user enters anything other than Y or N for yes or no, it'll go ahead and let them know to please enter a choice of either Y or N as their input was incorrect. And then here we have a while statement that if the user does choose no, that it'll go ahead and end the loop and then it return 0 in the program. And then the next line of code here we have, starting at 53, is our modularized code for display menu. So when that display menu call is called in the main function, this is what will run. And this is just printing out the title of the game and letting the user know what's going on and ask them if they want to play yes or no. And then the next modularized code we have here is a play game function. And so in this play game function, we have a string we created called play game. This is also an array of 2, and this play again is set up to ask the user if they want to play another round after the first one. Instead of displaying the whole main menu again, it'll just ask them if they want to play another round, yes or no. And then below that, we have our do statement for creating the user and computer choices. So that way, when the user or the computer makes a choice, it'll inform the user of that choice that they made, and which is broken down in an if-else statement. So if the user chooses rock, it'll tell them they chose rock. Else if they choose paper, it'll tell them they choose paper. And else if they choose scissors, it'll tell them they choose scissors. Same thing for the computer. If the computer chooses rock, it'll tell the user that the computer chose rock. Else if the computer chose paper, it'll tell the user that the computer chose paper. And else if the computer chose scissors, it'll tell the user that the computer chose scissors. And then the next if statement here, starting at line 94, is the parameters for the draw. So if there is a draw where the user's choice and the computer choice are the same, then it'll go ahead and let the user know that the game was a draw. And then else, if it's not a draw, then it'll go ahead and go to the modularized code for determining the winner out of the user's choice and the computer's choice. And then next here I have a loop created for the play game. So for the play game, after the first round of play game runs through, then it'll go ahead and ask the user, do you want to play again, yes or no? And it'll scan that user's input into the code to run through the next lines of code, which is if the user chooses N, then it'll go ahead and ask the user, are they sure they want to go, indicating are they sure they want to quit. And then if the user enters yes, then it'll go ahead and run through the loop through this while statement down here, which is while the user chooses yes, then play again. And if the user does not choose wire in, that error message is there as well for this section. And then the next modularized code here is for the player throw. So it initializes the player throw with a value of 0, just so it is initialized for the compiler. And then we have the statements of select your battle weapon. It indicates to the user that rock is 1, paper is 2, and scissors is 3, and it asks them to choose between 1 and 3. And then it'll also have the parameters to scan that user's choice into the code to be ran through the later functions. And then the next statement here is a while statement. So this is for error handling, and this is indicating that as long as the player chooses a number between 1 and 3, then it's fine. But if the player chooses a number that is less than 1 or higher than 3, it'll rattle off these error messages indicating to the player that they have to choose between 1 and 3, and then ask them to re-enter their choice. And then we have a scanf here to input that user's choice, so that way when they choose between 1 and 3 properly, it'll go ahead and run through the functions as we need it to. And then the next line of code here starting at 138 is the code for the computer to randomly choose a number between 1 and 3. That is what the R and is here, is to randomly choose. And then the %3 is for up to 3, but that actually includes a 0, so it'd be 4. So that's why we add the +1 to exclude the 0 and make sure it's just between 1 and 3 for us. Then the next line of code here, starting at 143, is our draw parameters. So if a draw occurs where the player's choice and the computer's choice equal each other, then that message stating that it was a draw will go ahead and run for us. Next here at line 48, we have the modularized code for the winner. So if the player chooses rock and the computer chooses scissors, or if the player chooses paper and the computer chooses rock, or if the player chooses scissors and the computer chooses paper, it'll indicate to the player that they have defeated the machine and they won. And if not, then the machine won, and it'll indicate that to the user. And then the next line of code we have is our error handling, which is a constant message. So anytime an error occurs and needs to be handled, the invalid choice will appear. And then in the different sections for either Y or N or the choice of 1 through 3, for those particular sections, there's also another message in there for error handling that will let the user know exactly what error occurred and how to fix it. And then the last line of code is for exiting the game, indicating to the player that thanking them for playing, and that we will see them next time. And that is everything for the code. Let's go ahead and run it. Alrighty, there is the display of the main menu and asking the user to enter their choice. We're going to go ahead and click yes for we do want to play. Then it asks us to select our option. I'm going to go ahead and select rock. And then it'll let us know we chose rock, the machine chose paper, and we lost to the machine. So we're going to play again. We're going to choose rock again. And this time the machine chose scissors. So we have defeated the machine. Oh, let me raise that up a little bit. So we have defeated machine, and then now because of that code we entered to ask the user if they want to play again, we don't see the main menu. We just see the question of do we want to play again. So we are going to play again, and we're going to see if we can get a draw here. Perfect. So we both chose rock, and it gives us that displayed message that it was a draw. So let's do some error handling here. Let's go ahead and enter a 1 instead of Y or N. And it does indicate that it is an invalid choice. We need to press Y or N. And so then here we'll go ahead and enter an integer higher than 3. And it'll let us know that it is an invalid choice, and it'll give us a particular error message indicating that we need to enter between 1 and 3. And then lastly, let's go ahead and end this game. We're going to say no, and then it asks us, are you sure you want to go? And reiterates the start of the program, and then we're going to also enter no here, and then it'll give us our exit message, and it'll end the code. And that is everything with the altered version of my final project.